he's never wrong, huh? He's never wrong. And I feel like Zubin just always ties it all together. He's great. And I was like, look at that. Rutgers sticking up for Rutgers. I love that.
Jersey pride.
Yes.
Jersey pride. We'll take it. Plenty of pride here for the Cardinals because, Key, this was one of those where I think a lot of people are expecting, like you said, Buffalo, Cleveland, teams that appear to be near the Super Bowl, a guy that could maybe get them over the top. But you think the signing of Arizona, and by the way, I got to give J.J. Watt credit.
Don't tell anyone what I think.
Controlling the process. He announced his release. He announced his signing. But you think the signing with this particular team actually means maybe the market for JJ, which everybody thought was white hot, or red hot, I got now you're in the desert with the Red Sea, maybe the market wasn't as flush with teams as we may have thought.
Well, you got to think about these things, though, right? When you hear the report, first off, everybody wants to sign J.J. Watt. Oh, my God. Yes. At what price, though, right? Buffalo was all in on him. But Brandon Beam, general manager of the Buffalo Bills, was not going to spend $31 million with 23 of it guaranteed, which essentially for the Arizona Cardinals is a one-year deal at $23 million. But they were not going to do that. So when you start to look at it, you say, well, what was Green Bay? Did Green Bay, were they really interested, or did we try and tie it together because he's from the region? Or because Shaq Barrett and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be negotiating a long-term deal, and he may price himself out of what Tampa's willing to spend based on their finances and their cap issues and all the other guys that they want to sign. So let's pencil him in Tampa. And so when you start to look at it, it's like, okay, he went to Arizona. Why would you go to Arizona? Because if it was about winning that championship, Arizona's not quite there yet. They've got a lot of proving to do. I was on our ESPN affiliate out in Arizona yesterday with Gamble and his crew, and we were talking about the signing of J.J. Watt and where Arizona was at and how far they are away. And when you think about it, yes, defensively, the Heat certainly gives them what they can use as a pass rusher. They went out and got Terrell Suggs, who was a little bit older, obviously, and at the end of his career, they didn't get much out of that. But you got Chandler Jones on the other side, and this could potentially form a tandem as two of the better pass rushers that we've seen in the National Football League as a tandem. You think about guys like Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware, or you think about Dwight Freeney and Mathis when they were in Indianapolis. So, and I could go on and on and on with a list of guys in that play the defensive side of the ball and with pass rush specialists. But in the end, to your question, how many real suitors were out there for J.J. Watt? That's
me just picking my Key. He got $23 million guaranteed.
Yeah,
it's definitely about the money. And here's what I laughed at this when I saw it the other day, because Ed Werder had a tweet that came out, and I'll read the tweet to you, Key, because this goes into your cute Kyler Murray conversation that we've been having all year long, right? That lets you know that J.J. Watt, in my opinion, signed for the money, which I'm not mad about.
Oh, no.
Get your money.
Yeah, I'm not
Get
mad
your
at
money.
his money.
But you know,
I just thought he was chasing a ring.
Well, you know how sometimes that narrative can be spun, too, to try to make it look like, oh, well, it's about the bigger picture when we know it's really not, right? So Ed Werder says, I was told J.J. Watt's first criteria in choosing his team would be the quality of the quarterback. So this seems to be an endorsement of at K1, Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray's great in that system, Jay.
Great. I know.
He's fine in the system.
I understand. But I thought if you're trying to win a Super Bowl, if this is an endorsement of the quarterback, like, oh, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, but it lets you know that the market wasn't like that. It proves your point that this was about the money, and I'm glad it worked out. And if he wants to change this into an endorsement for Kyler Murray, awesome, but that's still in a pretty hard division, and there's still a long way for this team to go.
Look, they won 8 games last year, and they were a game away from potentially getting into the playoffs at the end of the season. What I would say is when you mention those other quarterbacks, you got to look at the defensive side of the ball. I don't know what Buffalo was willing to give him. I have no idea. I don't know if he even talked to Tampa or talked to Green Bay. I have no idea at all. But I could probably bet that those numbers were not even close to what Arizona was willing to do. This is a make-or-break year for Cliff Kingsbury in the desert. Let's be honest with ourselves, right? Steve Wilkes got fired after 2 wins. Cliff Kingsbury won 5, then won 8. He needs to take another giant step. He can't go backwards and be 6-10. He can't be 7-9. He can't be 8-8. He's got to take a giant step, which means that they're pushing all their chips to the middle of the deck. And this is also a pivotal year for Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's got to show that he's willing to take the next step in the National Football League. It's okay, so what? You make a Pro Bowl. All right, everybody makes Pro Bowls this day and age. You win 8 games. You're within a system that you've been running since high school. We all understand that. Now it's consistently beating the San Francisco 49ers, the Los Angeles Rams, and the Seattle Seahawks to take over that division. And if they could take that next step by adding J.J. Watt to it, then they win. And if not, it's a one-year deal at $23 million because the new coaching staff that comes in there next year will certainly part ways with J.J. Watt and want to bring in and build it all over the way that they want to. Plus, it's the year where the Arizona Cardinals will have to make a decision after the season on picking up the 5th-year option of Kyler Murray. So you got all those sort of little subplots that's going on in the desert.
We're asking this morning, J.J. Watt signing with the Cardinals is fill in the blank. We normally play that at another time during the week, but it's as simple as that. J.J. signing with the Cardinals is fill in the blank. Give us the word. Tell us why. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776, or just pop the word on Twitter, KJZ.
Stop running like Watt. That. See, Key does a little Mighty Mouse run.
Speaking of run, on the runway, J.J. Watt right off the plane with the Cardinals Twitter feed.
I'm very excited. My wife and I are very excited to be here. Mr. Bidwell, Steve, everybody here has been unbelievable so far. And I'm just excited to get started. I'm very excited to get started, get to work, get to know the people of Arizona, and to go to work to try and help them win a championship. And the one thing that I can promise you is I'm going to work my ass off every single day to make you proud. And I'm very proud to be a part of the Bird Gang in the Red Sea. So let's get started.
One thing I would say here is that not only have the Cardinals, like you said, make or break year for Kingsbury, since they went to the conference championship game in 2015, since they got within one game of the Super Bowl in 2015, not only have they not made the playoffs, they haven't had a winning record in about a half decade. So if Watt can maybe just get them into the playoffs, understanding it's not a contender situation, you're looking to be quizzically? You want them?
No. I'm just I forgot that they went with Bruce Arians to the.
They lost to the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I forgot that. I'm like,
since then,
that's right, they did do
7, 8, 3, 5, and 8. Yet to have a winning record. So maybe contender is in the eye of the beholder. But if he can get them into the playoffs for the first time in a half decade, it's not the greatest accomplishment in the world. Though it would be notable considering you say how tough the division is. Maybe that actually would be a reasonable task simply because it's been barren in the desert. Let's be honest.
Look at it though, the division, right? Russell Wilson's they're going to retool that offensive line. Let's just get it out there. Russell Wilson is not leaving Seattle. They're going to retool the offensive line. San Francisco is going to figure out what to do and settle things down at the quarterback spot and get everybody back healthy. The Rams are the Rams. They got the number one defense, although their defensive coordinator is now the Los Angeles Chargers head coach. They got a new defensive coordinator that's going to be calling the shots. They also picked up a new quarterback, and it's not named Jared Goff. It is Matthew Stafford. So they've upgraded at that position as well. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the Cardinals now that they made the biggest splash, I think, in the offseason so far in the division.
I just started laughing yesterday when I heard the news. I'm like, okay, Chandler Jones comes back, J.J. Watt, Aaron Donald, Nick Bosa. How's that going to work out for you, Russell Wilson?
Got to get that offensive line together.
And that's where we're going to go next with the addition of Watt and the guys that Jay just mentioned. Key says Russell staying, his offensive line is definitely going to need some work, as Key said, especially if those guys are running right at Wilson. So what does it mean for him? We'll discuss it next. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, ESPN Radio, and the ESPN app.
Russ, say what you want. Say what